Hi guys, it's Roshi, and today I wanted to touch base a little bit about my personal life, my personal journey. Please be kind because this is kind of hard to do, but I wanted to talk about my eating disorder. The reason why I decided to talk about this is because it is so key to my recovery. It's actually what I'm trying to recover from. So it's actually one of the main reasons I'm making these videos, the main reasons why I'm struggling so much with my weight and my health. And so I just thought it was about time I talked about it. As you're probably aware, there's quite a stigma around eating disorders. They're often like the butt of jokes, and that's getting less and less acceptable these days, which I think is great. Even when people do talk about eating disorders, a lot of the time they only really talk about anorexia and bulimia. There's actually more than that, and I actually don't have either of those as my sort of main issue. What I do have is something called binge eating disorder, which you might think like, oh, that's just overeating, or oh, that's just bad eating habits, but it's actually so much more than that. So binge eating disorder is defined by, surprise surprise, binges. Someone with BED will have a binge where basically it'll last for about 20, 30, sometimes a little bit longer, a minute. And in that time, you just basically consume a whole heap of food that you wouldn't normally eat, and that is considered an excessive amount of food for that period of time. It's categorized by a loss of control and by feelings of dismay and worthlessness afterwards, and sometimes is followed by purging, which is what bulimia is, and I have definitely done that before. I think a tricky part about people understanding binge eating disorder is that everyone sort of eats too much sometimes. A lot of people might, get tempted by a block of chocolate and eat the whole thing and feel sick afterwards. That's not binge eating disorder, that's just basic lack of self-control, or wanting to eat a block of chocolate. Often the foods that I binge on are foods that I don't particularly even like. I have eaten many a loaf of bread just on its own because it's all that's been available to binge on. I've eaten packet mix of like cakes and icing and stuff like that I've mixed with milk or whatever, and just eaten an entire cake basically, but in liquid form. Honestly, in the moment, it feels like there is no way of stopping it because I am feeling anxious and I'm seeking those reward sensations in my brain that food gives. So there's just so much to it emotionally. I've actually struggled with this for over 10 years. I'd say since I was about 12, which is horrible, like absolutely horrible. And it kind of came about as a result of something else that I've recently been diagnosed with, which is body dysmorphic disorder. I first read about body dysmorphic disorder I think around the end of 2016, and then in 2017 my GP and psychologist both diagnosed me with it. What body dysmorphia is a condition where you fixate and obsess on real or perceived flaws, I guess for want of a better word. Notably, they disrupt your ability to perform your day-to-day life activities. So for it to be actually classified as the disorder and not just as like poor body image, you have to actually obsess over it to the point where it interrupts your daily life. So for me, what that looked like when it really peaked was I would wake up and look in the mirror and cry. I would feel like a piece of dirt in every single thing I tried to wear. I would just feel like literally every person I saw down the street, I thought they were looking at me and thinking how horrible I looked and how ugly I was and how fat I was and how bad my skin was. I thought that every single person I saw was obsessing over my appearance as much as I was, which is obviously ridiculous, and I know that. And I knew that at the time, but it didn't stop it from feeling so real. And as such, I stopped wanting to leave the house. I spent an excessive amount of time in bed. I used to be like a high distinction student. Like I used to have like a distinction average, and then just this happened. And I suddenly couldn't even face getting out of bed. I lost friends at this point in my life as well as a result. And I'm still working to gain some of those friendships back. This like peak in like 2014, 15 was something that had been building up since I was like literally a child. One of the saddest things that I can actually admit to is that for over 10 years, there hasn't been a single waking hour that has gone past that I haven't actively thought about how much I despise the way I look. And if you can just imagine how debilitating that is, to constantly be fighting this voice inside your head that says, you suck, you're not good enough, you're unattractive, everyone knows it, everyone's looking at you, it's horrible. And that is what I'm actually trying to overcome. That and the binge eating, which in many cases is a response to that feeling. It's chasing something to feel good about, even though it always makes me feel worse. I think one of the hardest parts about it is that if I were to give advice to a friend in this situation, I would just be like, you are amazing and so beautiful. And you know, I look at my friends, they're all so different, like in appearance, in style, in everything, in every way, and I just look at every one of them and I just think, I love you guys so much. All my friends, just, they enrich my life so much, and I don't think twice about what they look like. I honestly, doesn't cross my mind, and I'm like, why can't I be that kind to myself? Why can't I think that there are other things about me than what I look like? And it's honestly so hard. One of the things about me that I haven't really touched on in this channel too is that I'm a Christian, and it's really hard to reconcile how I feel about myself with what God says about me, which is that I'm his precious child. And so that's something that I felt guilty about not being able to fully believe because of this horrible problem in my head. That's something that I'm working at this year. So I guess the reason why I'm sharing this is so that you can better understand where I'm coming from. So when I talk about things and when I, you know, try and fail a million times, that's a bit of background to that, but also that's what I'm fighting and growing through. It's going to take a while. It's not ever going to be an overnight change for me, because it's been a change I've been working towards for as long as I can remember. If you're in a similar boat to me, I would implore you, be kind to yourself, because even if I have never met you, I feel for you. I really honestly do. It's a horrible thing to go through, and it's often chronic, as I've very much worked out. If you guys want to respond to this, I don't know, I can always use encouragement, to be honest. Like I said, it's something that crosses my mind pretty much every second of every day, is how horrible and awful I am. So I can always use encouragement. Comment below if this is something you've struggled with and you feel open to sharing that, because solidarity, that's why we have other people in our lives to love us and care for us, and to love and care for. Thank you in advance for being super kind and gentle with me, because this is flippin' hard. And I will chat to you very soon about a few life updates, a few YouTube channel updates, things I have planned, what I'm expecting the channel to sort of look like, and I'll see you next time. Bye.